On to our monthly virtual interactive conference. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. We host our monthly virtual interactive conference every last Saturday of the month. Please join us in this virtual interactive conference. On this platform, we're genuine, sincere, transparent, and authentic. Special shout out to those who are putting their reputations on the line by being on this panel. Why do we host monthly virtual interactive conference every last Saturday of the month? Because this is our way of reflecting the purpose of this platform, which is to broadcast our message through the airwaves to those who will listen. I don't want to waste another 33 years trying to reach Black Americans who just don't care about what's going on with our people. A majority of Black Americans have become Americanized, entitled, and develop a sense of narcissist attitude. The majority of Black Chicagoans that I've spoken to on the streets told me that they're not interested in my vision and plan. This is why I turned to the internet, and I'm experiencing the same thing. Have been paying out of pocket for my business title since 2010. I pay the city, I pay the state, and the IRS. Yet, I'm still on first base. And this is a turnoff, and this is enough. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from patronizing my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to our film project. That's a personal choice. That's Willie Lynch in real time, ladies and gentlemen. And that Willie Lynch mentality is the slave mentality. At this stage in the game, we're only focusing on Chicago. If Gakio Chicago expand to other cities, cool. If not, that's fine with me as well. Again, I put in 33 years of my life on the line trying to get this thing up and running. I've done all that I could. And that's why I'm trying to turn my revised book into a film to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people who are trapped in American ghettos, specifically in Chicago. My focus here is on getting connected with like-minded Black Americans, like-minded African immigrants within the United States of America, as well as to reach out to our global African family who reside in Canada, Europe, Latin America, the Caribbean, and across the African continent. I need your help. All I'm asking you to do is please purchase my revised book, read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then you will automatically become a GRCAM member. I don't want to die in America or get bogged down with Black American issues. Instead, I want to get this business up and running, have my management team in place, have qualified Black middle class professionals and qualified African immigrants on my management team. So that way I can turn the business over and expand it to the African continent, starting in South Africa. I want to bring the best of Black America, and I want to bring that Black American energy to South Africa and work with Black South Africans that want more out of life. I want to be in a position where I can bring economic tangibles, meaning I want to create jobs for Black South Africans, and bring in through this business, have our support systems intact. So that way we can help improve the South Africa's economy and make that a model so that way we can replicate it to the other 9 African nations that we plan on setting up GRCAM. So, so this is a scripture. Philippine Philippians, trying to pronounce it. Chapter 2, verse 13. It says, "For it is God who work in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose." And that's what we're trying to do with this business. And I know that, I run across, I get a little pushback from, secular people that don't want to hear about God. Hey, this is a Christian business, but I don't operate again like the people in the church. I'm myself. And in this business, I'm going to run my Christian business the way I run my home, and that's going to be drama free. What is the grassroots community activist movement? I created GRCAM in 1991 on a site called Gopher to help raise awareness about the genocide, both physical and political genocide, which is taking place within our inner cities in America, specifically in Chicago. I wanted to connect with other like-minded individuals who share my vision to form a legitimate coalition across the United States and eventually around the globe for our cause, help stop the genocide in American ghettos. Urban violence is a moral issue, just like American slavery and lynching was. Mega corporations want to control the internet and silence inspired voices. GRCAM is a body of believers committed to the cause of Christ and willing to serve in this day and age. We believe and support the concept of family as described in my revised book, which is the foundation of my Christian business. Our focus is on strengthening the Black family, the African family, with the emphasis on marriage defined by God as the union of one man with one woman. We welcome secular Black people / secular African people as long as they respect our beliefs and abide by our rules and regulations. We are the voice of the voiceless. GRCAM is a Black grassroots global initiative intended to unite like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants in the United States and eventually throughout the diaspora. We aim to mobilize GRCAM members worldwide to support our film project so that we can move from behind the internet and make our presence known in the African American community, specifically in Chicago. Starting on the west side, we will serve the Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale community, and then eventually expand to the south side of Chicago. Our goal is to make Chicago a model for other cities across the United States. Now, again, like I say, once we get it popping here, I'm turning it over. Like I say, I don't want to waste another 33 years. But hey, that's my experience. That's my story. And hey, it is what it is. But again, before I cut and run to Africa, we're going to get it popping here in America first, specifically in Chicago, for credibility. Before I go into my presentation, I will show a few slides and explain why this film project is needed to make and why the Black world needs to know our story. I am grateful that we have 1,000 people on my backup Facebook page. That's cool. And again, on LinkedIn, I have 9,000 followers. But hey, my book is still barely selling. So something's up with that. That means a lot of people online just want to be seen, you know? And hey, it is what it is. I'm going to leave those people behind the computer. But I'm here, created this platform to recruit brave and smart Black Americans, brave and smart African immigrants. Um, that's what I'm about, and that's the reason I wrote and published my story to recruit. This year, I have decided to focus on reaching out to African immigrants within the United States of America from 10 African nations. They are as follows: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. I understand that you all are here to live your American dream, and that's fine, but I need your help. I'm unable to reach my people, Black Americans, due to this slave mentality. All I ask of you is please purchase my revised book and read my story. Quote, The Solution for Black America: Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. It's available in two forms, either as an ebook for $9.99 or as a softcover book for $15 plus shipping and handling. You can find the links in the comment section below this audio podcast. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then you will automatically become a GRCAM member. And like I said before I cut and run to Africa, I need GRCAM members worldwide to get involved with our um, cause, get behind this film project. So that way I can do all the stuff that I keep talking about for the past 33 years. I want to make sure that Sister Renee is well taken care of because she has been working with me behind the scenes for the past 13 years. And we will dedicate a local chapter for her in West Memphis, Arkansas. Again, before I turn the business over to my management team, I want to make sure that I'm able to sustain myself in South Africa. And I want to lead by example by applying for dual citizenship, setting up Gurkai of South Africa, and shooting our second film, which would be called African Liberator Battle Against the Colonized Mindset. So, the whole purpose of me doing these monthly virtual interactive conference is for us to raise funds for our film project. Quote, Hood Liberator, made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins. This is a solution-based docudrama based on my experience growing up in the inner city of Chicago. Um, all of the things that I went through trying to get this business up and running, all of the foolishness that I had to endure, which was really unnecessary. But hey, it is what it is. Very frustrating. I run across a lot of, um, you know, a lot of ignorance, in our racial group. But that should be expected because that Willie Lynch mentality that we're up against is a 400-year-old mentality that must be dealt with quickly because that's going to be the downfall of Black America. Um, this is our Black Panther moment, except it's not owned by Disney. It's owned by GRCAM members. Because I can't pass my business down to my family because they're full of Willie Lynch. They tell me to get a quote unquote real job. That's code word for you don't try to start a Black business, work for the white man. That's slave mentality. Anybody talk to me like that, I push them out of my life. Now, if I'm like that with my own family members, how you think I'm gonna be with strangers? That's why I want people to read my story so you'll know what you're getting yourself involved with. I'm not, again, um, I don't operate like the next black man. I have my own style and way of doing things. I'm about raising that bar. I don't put on no front. I just keep it 100, and that's where I stand, 10 toes down. We are using crowdfunding such as GoFundMe and PayPal giving funds so that everyone would know exactly where the funds will be going. Our objective is to raise $250,000. Those donations will help with our marketing campaign, production, and legal expenses to make this docudrama. I recommend that if you are a U.S. citizen, that you use our PayPal Giving Fund page because you can use that as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based and community advocacy organization. We will compete against Pan-Africanism. Now, what I'm saying by that is that, yes, I do like Pan-Africanism. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong that we under Pan Africanism that we would like to see Africa be liberated and free. That's fine and dandy, and I like that. But the problem is, uh, let's say with Marcus Garvey, he uh, he took God out of it. So in my business, we're gonna have God included in it. Jesus/Joshua is the one that gave me the vision. And ain't no man or woman on earth gonna change that vision. That's how come I wrote that, and it's not up for debate. You read and say you disagree, cool, keep it moving. You can't be a part of this. In my business, we're gonna raise the bar. I don't want con artists. Ain't gonna be no if I find out if I catch any con artists in this business, no problem. We're gonna have protocol, you know, for ready for them because we know that they're gonna come. We want to separate ourselves from those type of people. We want to separate ourselves from hardened criminals, pedophiles, the black boule, Democrat shields, um, urban terrorists, and pedophiles. We don't want those type of people in this business. Now in church, they say, whosoever will let them come. So that's how come, like with the Catholic, I'm not picking on the Catholic Church, but they're the ones that have the most sexual scandals, that's been going on for a long time. And a lot of those people was covering it up and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's not that what gives secular people an excuse not to want to be a part of, the church. So over here, we're going to have a balance. We're not going to just focus on the pie in the sky. We're going to focus on solving our issues at the grassroots level. So we're going to, in GRCAM, we're going to have two fronts. We're going to have a domestic front where we focus on American issues, and we're going to have an international front. When I go to Africa, I'm only going to focus on African issues. So that's why I want to hurry up and get over there because I don't want to waste another 33 years. I want to create jobs through this business. That's what this is all about, putting money uh, in your pocket so you can feed your family. But we're going to do things in decent and in order. And we want to make sure that we weed out the wrong type of people. So again, Marcus Garvey was a great leader. I liked him. And I agree with, pretty much what he was saying. I agree that he said that Black people should leave America and reclaim our ancestral homeland. But the problem with Marcus Garvey is that that brother never went to Africa. Do the research. Instead, the man went to Europe and he died in Europe. So that's the only thing I really didn't like. And then I didn't like the fact that he accepted donation from the Ku Klux Klan. My goodness, man. That's not cool. Pan Africanism have been out for the past 160 years. And what do they have to call for it? I mean, to show forth. Stuff the colors red, black, and green. Over here, we ain't gonna play that. Over here, we want to be connected with the community. Even though right now, I'm behind a computer because I'm trying to recruit brave and smart people that's gonna help me run this thing. Can't do all this stuff by myself because this is a Nehemiah assignment. Um, Yeah, so a few of my associates who relocated to Africa told me that a majority of businesses in Africa are owned by non-Africans. So Arabs, Asians, East Indians, and Europeans own and control a majority of the business on the African continent. And that's not cool at all. And once we make our presence known over there, we're going to compete against those foreigners. And I don't want Native Africans to view um, the CAM members, especially Black Americans, as foreigners. I want y'all to view us as displaced Africans because we did not volunteer to be slaves. The white supremacist financial elites, they're the ones that trick, our quote unquote kings and people like that was in authority, that had authority. They messed around and sold us, because they didn't know any better. So I overlook that. I don't hold them accountable because once again, we did not ask these Europeans to come to our continent. They imposed themselves. And they got messed up what we had going on over there, messed up our values and stuff that we had. So here's what it is. So in this business, we're gonna learn. I would say like-minded Black Americans is going to heal from that slave mentality. African immigrants is going to heal from that colonized mindset. We've been apart from each other for the past 400 years. So in this business that I'm trying to create from the ground up, is we're going to learn how to get along with each other, respect each other's culture, and learn how to do business together so we can replicate the business on the African continent. It's all I've been trying to do for the past 33 years. And since Black Americans, especially Black Chicagoans, rejected my vision and plan, my business will be membership based. Jesus/Joshua called me to create the best African American business within the United States of America. And God knows I've been trying to do that. I'm going to do my best to get it popping here. And once, like I say, we get it popping in Chicago, I'm turning the business over to my management team and take and expand the business in South Africa. Once we get this film project fully funded and made, and once the proceeds from the film starts pouring in, then I would be in a better position financially to purchase property in Chicago, hire qualified Black middle class professionals, and qualified African immigrants. I'm called by my Lord and Savior Jesus/Yahshua to rebuild our inner cities just in Chicago. I'm not gonna like I say, it's been 33 years. I'm burnt out. So I'm being real. It's frustrating, but again, this is what I'm trying my best to get this thing popping. Again, this assignment is similar to Nehemiah, who was called by God to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Nehemiah used qualified engineers, architects, and inventors to rebuild a new city. We are seeking qualified Black middle class professionals and African immigrants in the following, who has the following: Black attorneys, African attorneys, investors, business partners, Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and philanthropists. We're also looking for legitimate artists such as film directors, producers, actors, stage managers, professional fundraisers, technical directors, and marketers from across the United States of America. Because, hey, I can't find nobody in Chicago. So, hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to lay down and die. I'm going to sit up here and do the best that I can to get my message out, keep pushing my book until I can get this thing off the ground. That's all I'm trying to do. GRCAM Chicago will offer an interactive space for Black Americans, African immigrants, Afro Caribbeans, Afro Latinos, Afro Caribbeans, um, Black millennials, and Generation Z. Non-Black sympathizers are welcome to join us as well, not as groups, but as individuals, because I want to know where each of those people stand as it pertains to lineage-based cash payment reparations for descendants of American slaves / freedmen. So if any of them say that they disagree, but just tell them they can't be a part of us. GRCAM Chicago will have our support systems in place to help strengthen the Black family and provide quality programs and services to benefit both the African American community and the African immigrant community. It's my hope that GRCAM Chicago would become a multi-million-dollar business and become a national and international franchise, just like McDonald's. That's what I hope. In my lifetime, again, it's been 33 years, very frustrating. I'm not going to be sitting up here saying I'm glad that it's taking this long. No, I'm not. But I want to make sure that none of my members have to go through this type of foolishness. Just like Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, he started off with his company online and then he leaped into the supermarket industry, buying Whole Foods Market, creating Amazon fulfillment centers beyond cyberspace. If only I had that same support from Black Americans and the African immigrant community, imagine where our community would be today and where Africa would be today. Our mission: to eradicate urban violence in Chicago through art, culture, commerce, spiritual development, and hosting African and Caribbean tours. We will promote economic opportunities in the African American community and in the African immigrant community by being an advocate and becoming an economic base. We will offer different membership levels: basic membership, networking membership, and entrepreneur membership. GRCAM Chicago will be a multi-purpose facility consisting of a nonprofit and a for-profit business. Under the for-profit business, this is where I will make my bread and butter. We will own and control our own community grocery store, community healthcare clinic, and community housing because everyone needs food and shelter. And this will be group economics in action. We will offer associate degree programs and vocational training for our members and students. Our curriculum will offer technical knowledge and creativity taught by industry experienced professionals. We will offer degrees in animation, auto production, business, music production, digital filming, graphic design, music production, writing for films and TV, journalism, filmmaking, and writing will be our top courses. Storytelling is the backbone of our culture. Storytelling makes us human. We will offer stipends to Black youth, African youth, and others who participate in our Black empowerment films so that they can feed their families and also for our city to heal. This is my contribution back to the community. We believe access to multimedia experience will bring community residents together. It's also important for us to have community residents involved with what we are trying to build. After all, this is for them and their children. What I mean by them is this is for uh, single Black mothers, single Black fathers in the African American community. I do want to mention too, we will offer a second chance program for ex offenders for nonviolent crimes, former gang members, and homeless individuals. But again, everybody will be checked, meaning we're going to vet everybody when they come through our doors. Because again, I want to run my Christian business the way I run my home drama free. We will offer state of the art a recreational center, which will have bowling, high ropes, adventures, captivating game room, featuring the latest video and amusements, stylish billboards, energetic dance rooms, and quality restaurants, various businesses, on site childcare, and an on site music recording studio for our members and students, making documentary films and stage plays. In addition, we will host family friendly activities, including combination deals, birthday parties, weddings, and corporate parties and events. We will offer rental space to our members who have a startup business and who have gone through our business classes. GRCAM Chicago's main objective is to strengthen the Black family and strengthen the African American community by investing in the African American community, starting again on the west side of Chicago, and eventually we're going to expand to the south side of Chicago. We will invest in our youth by focusing on mentorship, leadership, and professional development, college readiness, workforce development, and skill building. Under our nonprofit portion of the business, this will be known as the Green Zone. GRCAM of Chicago will be governed by an advisory board. GRCAM of Chicago will be membership based and operate for the mutual benefit of our members. Also, any earnings we make are returned to our members in the forms of lower prices through our quality programs and services. We will assist our members with their utility bills, spending on our budget and sponsorship. We will offer like groceries through our food pantry and offer tutoring services for Black youth, African youth, and their families. GRCAM of Chicago will help benefit Africa because we will form an alliance with African immigrants um, within the United States of America, starting here in Chicago. In each African nation that we visit, we will match Black entrepreneurs with African entrepreneurs, Black artists with African artists, so that we can do international trade among our people. We also plan on setting up local chapters in each African nations that we visit. So, in other words, we want to replicate the business, but we got to get it popping here first. That's all I've been trying to do. The Chi of Chicago will try to meet the social needs of African youth to provide jobs so that they can feed their families. We want both Black American artists and African artists who are medians, fashion designers, filmmakers, models, musicians, poets, gospel singers, spiritual leaders, as well as Black entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurs be a part of this business. Ladies and gentlemen, my vision for Africa to reconnect with our ancestral homeland. We will go through the proper channels with each African government to start GRCAM of Africa. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute of South Africa. We will offer employment to our members and students based on our budget and sponsorship. We will focus on improving Africa's infrastructure for clean running water, our agricultural technology to help feed the people, offer solar panels to help with their electric generators, and most of all, help improve South African economy in exchange for dual citizenship for Black Americans who are GRCAM members. Kai of Chicago will promote Black economic empowerment on a domestic front and also on an international front. Okay? Just letting you all know what I'm trying to do. The whole purpose of me doing this film, the whole purpose of me doing these monthly virtual interactive conferences, because I'm trying to raise funds for this film project. So far, haven't, and I'm gonna go there. Since January, no donations whatsoever, and that's fine. This is how come I'm documenting what I'm doing. Because some off-code Negro gonna say, "Oh, you ain't doing anything for the inner city and all that kind of garbage." Well, you're a doggone lie. I'm trying to do something, and I'm doing something by having this platform, trying to raise awareness, doing the best that I can. But again, we're gonna separate ourselves from these off-code Negroes under my leadership, and that's real. We will hold mandatory orientation for local residents. Everyone must pass our criminal background checks, sign the community pledge, and submit their thumbprint in our database in order for us to weed out those who mean us no good. GRCAM Chicago will raise the bar in Black America. There will be protocol in place to separate ourselves from con artists, the Black Boule, degenerates, Democrat shields, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off-code Negroes, and urban terrorists. All of the principles in my revised book is the code for GRCAM members. Those who are not a part of us, we will pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it moving. Again, I do not operate like the next Black man. I have my own style and way of doing things. Anyone who tries to change our focus will get 2 warnings. For example, if someone joined our business and then tried to promote the LGBT agenda, they will get 2 warnings. The third time, that person or persons will have their name, photo ID, and address displayed on our Judas list for everybody to see, and they will be barred for life. This is not get down. Anyone who tries to steal money from the business, we will also do the same thing to them, except we will take them to federal courts. We can't get at them like we want to because we're in the white man's country. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. In this business, we're M1, meaning we are melanated first. Our focus is on solving Black issues at the community level. I will never forget where I came from or who I am fighting for. Let's make real change happen together. Call upon Black content creators and African content creators. Allow me to come on your platform so that I can promote my revised book and my film project with your audience. I call upon Black filmmakers and African filmmakers within the United States of America. Please Read my story first. If you agree with my vision and plan, then work with me to get this film project fully funded and made. Work with me while I'm alive. Don't wait until I'm dead. So I'm putting myself out here. This is why I'm online. I'm not on here to play games. Yes, I know a lot of people on here to, chuck and jive and who could dance the best and who can act, the most. That's not what I'm on here for. I'm on here to recruit brave and smart people, um, like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants. I call upon Black millennials and Generation Z to read my story and get behind this film project. After all, this business is my gift to you and your family. And again, I'm trying to reach out to, young parents. This business is for your children. I don't have any kids because, as far as I'm concerned, this world don't deserve my seed. But that's another story. I'm just trying to do what my creator has placed in my heart to do. Wish it didn't have to take so long, but hey, it is what it is. Doing the best that I can. That's all I can do. The sooner we get this business established in Chicago, the sooner I can turn the business over and expand it to the African continent. I call upon my international friends in my African group, GRCAM of Africa. I understand that you all are living hand to mouth due to corruption, with your leaders and all that. You don't have to purchase my revised book. Instead, put me on blast by leaving public comments um, about the topic in the on my YouTube page and share it with all your friends um, on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. I call upon everyone in my Christian groups, Light of the World Inspirational Group, and Christian Spoken Word Network. I need your help. Please purchase my revised book and read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then make arrangements with me to come on this platform, get on camera, and let us talk about it. Encourage others to get involved with our cause. And most of all, for them to back up our film project. Even if you are unable to participate in this event, please watch the replay, leave a public comment about the topic on my YouTube page, and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Now, like I say, I want to show you all a few slides, which is very important because, like I say, I try to back up everything I say. I don't like to just be running off at the mouth, you know. So just bear with me. I'm gonna get these things so you can see for yourself. Um, why is it taking so long? You know, I wish it didn't have to take so long. But again, God give us free will. That's all I can tell you. If it was up to me, this business would have been up and running years ago. Oh, man, I didn't know it was gonna take this long for me to. Man, what can I? Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why it's not. Hmm, I'm doing the best that I can. This is unfortunate, but this is necessary because it has something to do with my credibility. And I want you all to see, why it's taking so long. Not pulling it up. Ain't that a trip? But I'm trying to share this on the screen. Uh, I have it, but it's not connecting. Man, man. This is one of the most important ones I want to show too. It's not on the screen. Let's see if I can do it this way. All right, I think I'm seeing it on here. So it talks about Kamala Harris, okay? Y'all see that on the screen? I mean Kamala Harris. Uh, and yes, I keep using this because I'm just letting you know this is what the 92%, which were black women that voted for Kamala Harris. It says, you know, this is coming from Fortune.com, and it says a Zoom quote, a Zoom call of 44,000 black women raised 1.5 million for Kamala Harris in 3 hours. We were ready. So I just want y'all to see that. Um, and again, it's been 5 years since the George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? And nothing has changed. No anti-black hate crime bill. But black women, if they had that same energy to help get this film project that we're trying to, get fully funded and made, if they use that same energy like they used to try to get Kamala Harris in office, look what they raised 1.5 million. I'm just trying to raise 250,000. And here it is, the fifth month of 2025. And this is why it's taken so long. Yes, it's discouraging, but this business is bigger than myself. And if I was able to get it popping here in Chicago, I would turn the business over in a heartbeat and be in Africa and work with Africans to help improve their economy because that's where we belong in the first place. Instead of sitting up here marching and protesting, begging descendants of slave owners for freedom, justice, and equality. That's why they take Black Americans for a joke. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, so that was one of the things I wanted to show. Um, I have something else I want to show. Wish it didn't have to take so long, but hey, just doing the best that I can. I want people to see my revised book. Then I'll pull up our GoFundMe page. Um, yes, I wish this was a little easier, a little bit more user friendly, but hey, it is what it is. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. Appreciate it. Mm. Right. So here's my revised book. Again, you can find that in the comment section below this audio podcast. The book is I have it as an ebook where you can download it to your smartphones, ladies and gentlemen, for $9.99. It's also available as a paperback for $15 plus shipping and handling. All I ask is you read my story first. Don't even worry about donating to the film project yet. Read my story so you'll know what this is all about. And again, if you got the qualifications that I'm looking for, then talk to me through email. I provide my email in the book because I want to connect with people that's on business like me. We can't help everybody. You know what I'm saying? Some of our people, they like I say, they're Americanized. They don't mind being treated as third and fourth class citizens. Hey, it's to each his own. As for me and my house, I'm going to reclaim my ancestral homeland, which is Africa. But before I cut and run to Africa, I want to make sure I get my business popping here in America first. Why? For credibility. And see, once we get this thing popping here, then other people that's going to come after me because I want to be able to pass this business down to GRCAM members. They don't have, we could speed stuff up. We don't have to constantly be, um, 33 years and still, ain't making progress. Come on, that's not cool. But in reality, Black Americans been voting for the Democrats for the past 60 years. And I've been saying in my revised book, I say this that we have to demand economic tangibles from these black politicians, especially these black Democrats. Black Americans sit up here and laugh at me and like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. But then that's why we don't get anywhere. Listening to these off-code Negroes. Hey, do you, and to each his own. Righty? And now I want to go to my GoFundMe page. Bear with me. I have some other stuff I want to talk about, in our presentation. So, but again, this is important. This is why I do these monthly conferences, because I want to prove to people. 'Cause, they I would say my critics say, "Well, Emmanuel, you failed as a leader," and I tell them I beg to differ because I haven't had the opportunity to really lead yet. You know what I'm saying? And again, God give us free will. I mean, I do take responsibility. I say, hey, shucks, I'm not, I'm unable to reach, a lot of our people, Black Americans, because, a lot of our people, they're Americanized. I can't, being honest about it. You know? I want to reach people that, have ambitions in life. You know what I'm saying? Can't work with someone that, don't have any goals in life and ain't, you know, ain't about jack shucks. Associate with those people. I pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it moving. That's how I get down. Yeah. All right. So here's our GoFundMe page, ladies and gentlemen. And again, you can find that link in the comment section below this audio podcast. Still, no donations at all. None whatsoever. This is why it's taken me so long to get the thing up and running. I'm not in a position to hire people. That's why I wrote the book, was hoping that I would be able to generate capital for that so I can hire my staff. That's why I created my virtual store. I'm not going to even pull that up because you can find that in the comment section below this audio podcast. Now, I'm just showing you this is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I'm reaching out to the global African family. If you're serious about me bringing my business over to the African continent, then help get my book on that bestsellers list. Read my story for yourself. All right, so let me go back to my presentation. That's all I wanted to show you. Um, all of this stuff is unfortunate, but hey, somebody has to do this. It's not easy. Um, the title of this presentation: American Empire, from being the richest nation on earth to becoming in debt. The economic collapse is coming. Before we go into the main presentation, I want to know, did you all watch President Trump and President Ramaphosa from South Africa go back and forth over false genocide of white people? We're going to discuss the latest twist in the ongoing imaginary controversy as it pertains to President Trump and President Ramaphosa from South Africa. The Trump administration used Julius Malema videos as, quote, evidence to justify claims of white genocide in South Africa instead of using credible data or official reports. Trump relied on sound bites that was used on, I'm going to say X, to push the narrative, and it worked. The white genocide, white extinction, or white replacement conspiracy theory is a white nationalist conspiracy theory that claims that there is a deliberate plot to cause the extinction of white people through forced assimilation or violent genocide. The white supremacist financial elites is pushing this fake lie about a white genocide taking place in South Africa. Now they got President Trump pushing that nonsense. What this is really about is America is upset with South Africa initiating that genocide case against Israel at the International Criminal Court over the war in Gaza. But Africa never did that for Black Americans. I'm just saying. There is no white genocide that's all propaganda. The president of South Africa explained that to Trump while Trump was pulling up screenshots that were printed from these far right publications promoting that lie. It's a bad look on Trump, on the Trump administration. Family, we got to understand the ramifications of America. You got Trump sitting up here on the world stage promoting blatant lies. They know good and well that there is no white genocide in South Africa. That undermines the integrity of the United States and their foreign policies. Sitting up here talking about a conspiracy that ain't even real. During that official state visit, it signals to allies and adversaries alike that U.S. foreign policy is not good to be rooted or grounded in fact or um, diplomacy or national interest, but it's going to be rooted in racial grievance policies, which in the long run will hurt America's credibility as a serious global leader. These myths can influence domestic and foreign policies. America's image as the moral authority on racial injustice. America is already struggling with the legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, and systematic racism when they repeat falsehoods but reject global Black struggles. It sends mixed messages that places white comfort above Black liberation in America and abroad. We're in the information age where people can fact check everything nowadays. World leaders are looking at Trump as being dishonest. It also makes America look like a joke on the world stage. President Trump is sitting up here recycling these white supremacist conspiracy theories during an international di- diplomatic visit. These these damage the global image of America on the world stage. It destroys the moral high ground that white America could claim. There's no moral high ground left. It's just mani- manipulation exposed. I believe the real reason why Trump and those guys are getting up here pushing that lie is that they're um this some kind of pretext for economic neocolonialism to set the stage for Western powers to basically go in there and intervene economically under the guise of protecting human rights. It's a soft justification for future military intervention. They're trying to lie and reinforce the lie that everywhere white people reside, even in black countries, that they have to be protected, even at the expense of the native population and sovereign nations. It's basically psychological warfare to undermine black autonomy. They're trying to reclaim economical, political, and social influence back in Africa. The white supremacist financial elites invaded South Africa, then began hoarding the resources against black South Africans. That's a problem. We have to replace white supremacy with a system of justice. That's one of the solutions. But the main solution is black Americans, we're gonna have to delineate from white America, bottom line. No, I know a lot of black Americans don't want to hear that, but hey, that's the real solution. This tactic has real consequences, especially for black Americans, witnessing how imaginary policies are shaped not by truth, but by political agendas and racial biases. This is an important topic and ties in with the economic crisis taking place within America. The use of Malema's videos to support refugee policies favoring white South Africans expose how these claims through fear mongering and undermine actual refugee protocols. They're benefiting from U.S. resources over Black Americans. Why are these claims taken more serious than Black American oppression? Truth be told, it was Afrikaners who were the former colonizers who invaded South Africa, deleted many Black South Africans, and imposed apartheid on South Africans, which is a form of Jim Crow. They are the ones who violated South Africans' human rights. They are upset because Black South Africans are resisting their oppression and holding them accountable for land theft that does not belong to them in a country that's majority Black. South Africa is still under economic apartheid because the white supremacist financial elite still have a disproportionate amount of wealth. We will not parrot Donald Trump's racist talking points, trying to flip the script as if they are the victims. We, as descendants of American slaves slash freemen, have an issue with some Afro Caribbeans and African immigrants that come over here and get into social positions and begin fighting against our reparations. For example, the governor of Maryland, who vetoed reparation. He's not from our lineage, yet he got some nerve to veto it. He is carrying out the white supremacist financial elite's agenda, which is benign and neglect policies toward Black Americans. That type of mindset is what's keeping us oppressed globally. So they're using, I would just say, Black faces in high places, but also they're using people that's not of our lineage. And that's not, I mean, we have coons, domestic coons, um, Judge Thomas, for example. He's not what they would consider a tether, but you know, and that Black General Michael Lanley that's coming against Captain Abraham Atori. So, they use people like that. Black faces that's in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. They don't mind selling us out. This is why I'm trying to build GRCAM Chicago to be a model for other cities across the United States of America. Once GRCAM members get our Christian business up and running, Then again, I can turn the business over to my management team and expand it to South Africa. As I mentioned in my revised book, the white supremacist financial elites allowed our middle class and upper middle class brothers and sisters to relocate to the white suburbs after the civil rights era in hopes of making the black ghettos vulnerable. Then they decided to flood the African American community with drugs, guns, and liquor stores, which I call perfect genocide. For 33 years, I've been doing my best to educate Black Americans about the need for us to embrace my vision and plan before things get worse for Black Americans. And still to this day, I have little to no support for my efforts. Now my predictions are starting to come to pass, like illegal immigration and urban gentrification. Their goal was to their goal was for Black Americans who were trapped in American ghettos to turn on each other and delete ourselves from society. They have created laws to entrap Black American youth called School to Prison Pipeline, which has given rise to mass incarceration. I have done enough for Black America. Now it's time for GRCAM members worldwide to stand up and help me get my revised book on that bestsellers list, so that way the Black world can take us serious. Over here, we're not about marching and protesting, begging descendants of slave owners for freedom, justice, and equality. I need like-minded Black millennials, like-minded Generation Z, and like-minded um, Black Americans and like minded African immigrants within the United States of America to get behind our film project so that way we can make a quality Black empowerment film. The white supremacist financial, the white supremacist global system is being exposed. For example, Africa is slowly starting to rise and rejecting Western nations getting their resources. If you look at France right now, their country is about to collapse because France depended on 14 African nations to fund their economy. These Western nations want to look down on Africa, calling it a third world, but they all depend on Africa's natural resources. But African youth are starting to wake up and want to benefit from their own resources. Europe has been freeloading off of Africa's resources. The best thing that we can do as descendants of American slaves is to take our talent to Africa and help improve the African economy and ourselves from delineate ourselves from white America. If they want to do business with us, then they must pay us our $5 trillion for our reparations. Our people have been marching and protesting for 60 years, begging the descendants of slave owners for freedom, justice, and equality, and that hasn't worked, and things aren't getting any better. Your Cam is on the scene. Our first task is to get my revised book on that bestsellers list so that the Black world can take our cause seriously. Our second task is to get our film project fully funded and made in order to reach the Black masses worldwide. Your Cam will compete against Pan Africanism. Your Cam will be in two forms, as I stated earlier. Um, a domestic front, which will focus on American issues, and on an international front, which will focus on Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean. We ain't doing any more marching. If these Black politicians won't give us our reparations, then we will withhold our vote. We will do an economic boycott of certain businesses in our community or neighborhoods. Descendants of American slaves' greatest power is economic boycott because, as a collective, we have $1 trillion spending power, but we have to get on code with each other, while at the same time separate ourselves from off code brothers and sisters that don't mind being a slave to the man. I want to see Black Americans have fun um, during Juneteenth and beyond. Anti Black racism is going to cost white America everything because we've been the victims of it. And now it is the time for us to get everything that is due to us. Do you really think that our God was going to allow us to suffer forever? This is God's judgment on America and Western nations for colonization, imperialism, the transatlantic slave trade, Jim Crow, systematic racism, mass incarceration, predatory capitalism. All of this is going to cost white America. From a spiritual perspective, God's judgment is upon America. As I talked about this years ago, America is the new Egypt. Some Black Americans refer to America as Babylon. Black Americans were historically targeted and sabotaged, redlined, racially discriminated against by the white supremacist financial elites. America is preordained by the Lord to be taken down. That's God's judgment. I predicted in 2019 that white supremacy worldwide will be exposed, and the white supremacist financial elites have caused death and destruction among many civilizations around the world. The white supremacist financial elites have a track record of stealing other people's land and resources, which is called colonization. Ever since Europeans stepped foot in Africa, Africa has been going through hell. We did not invade Europe. We did not invite Europeans to come to our continent. They claim that they're in their history books that they just wanted to trade, but they had hidden motives. If you look at European history during the Dark Ages, they did not have anything going on over there. Once they left Europe and went to Australia, which was a Black nation, all of a sudden they ended up taking over the land and resources from the Aboriginal Australians. This also happened in Caribbean, Latin America, Canada. The father of white supremacy is Caesar Augustus from the King James Version Bible. Luke chapter 2, verse 1, quote, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed, unquote. Um, Also, Acts chapter 17, verse 6 through 7. You can read that on your own. This is where white supremacy gets their arrogance and sense of entitlement from. They think because they have advanced weapons, that gives them the right to impose their culture and economy on others. So they have like a God complex, these white supremacist financial elites. They never colonized any We never colonized any group or stole anyone's land and resources. Yet Africans and Black Americans are hated by other groups. Why? Because God has blessed Africa with a majority of diamonds, gold, minerals, and oil. I encourage my listeners to please read Genesis from the King James Version now. Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 through 14, Ezekiel chapter 34, 11 through 16, and Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. This is what I got from these scriptures. Quote, you will go into a foreign land and have to serve and be afflicted in this foreign land for 400 years. After 400 years, I will come to judge the people that afflicted you. That's just, my paraphrasing. The history books acknowledge 1619 when Africans first arrived in the New World. 2019 made 400 years ever since. If you pay attention, from COVID-19, nothing has been going as planned. Everybody throughout the globe is waking up to white supremacy, and their influence isn't the same anymore. Look at what's going on since 2019. African leaders are starting to take a stand against Western domination. For example, America has threatened to withhold foreign aid to Ghana, Nigeria, and Uganda if they don't include the LGBT agenda. Notice America doesn't impose LGBT agenda on Arab nations or in China. I remember when America would speak, the whole world would listen. America influence in Africa has declined because they came across as dictators while China and Russia are investing in Africa's infrastructure. The divine judgment of American slavery and anti Black racism. America will face God's wrath for centuries of oppression and mistreatment of descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. The, sled, the shedding innocent blood and refusing to repent and pay reparation for what they have did to our ancestors. God hate the shedding of innocent blood, and they built their empire off the backs of our ancestors. Then their economy will eventually collapse, starting with the fall of the US dollar, then massive debt. Foreign nations will form alliance against Western nations because of their policies. America's reduction in moral values, breeding corruption, family breakdown, racial division, and political infighting. Black Americans must separate from America and reclaim our ancestral homeland, Africa. America doesn't want to pay reparation for the pain and suffering they caused to Black Americans. Then watch your whole system collapse globally. The economic collapse has begun. Inflation, the rising cost of living has a strain on households. Job market, unemployment is low while wages are not keeping up with inflation. Debt, American debt has reached an all-time high in the trillions. Retirement, 64% of Americans are expected to retire with less than 10,000 in their retirement savings account. Our goal this year is to get this film project fully funded and made so that I can do my God given assignment with or without Black America. I can't wait another 33 years on Black Americans to embrace my vision and plan. God give us free will. This is why I'm reaching out to African immigrants within the United States of America from 10 African nations to help speed up the process. I want like-minded black I want like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants within America who are brave enough and smart enough for them to make themselves known to me and work with me while I'm alive. Don't wait until I am dead. And again, I'm not running for public office. Just trying to get this business up and running so I can bring it to the African continent. So work with I want smart people on my team to make sure that this business is going to be effective and successful. That's all. First, please purchase my revised book and read my story. That's all I'm asking for all my listeners. I wrote my revised book in order to recruit GRCAM members worldwide. That's the whole purpose of me writing that book. And there's a lot of, and I'm not getting pushback from white America. I'm getting pushback from Black America. Same people I'm trying to do business with, the same people I want to serve. But hey, it is what it is. I encourage Black filmmakers and African filmmakers in America to read my story. It's very important. We will teach our members and students about financial literacy, such as credit repair, investing, and more. The fact the global move toward de-dollarization from countries like BRICS are trying to break free from the US dollar is often cited as one of the main factors driving up the prices of food, gas, or buying a home. Let's take a closer look at the continuing fall of the US dollar and how the United States, through a series of policy errors, has caused another global economic crisis. Among the three biggest missteps of the US government and its financial authorities are the following: abandoning the gold standard, the petrodollar deal with Saudi Arabia, acting in a high handed financial manner toward virtually every other country in the world, going off the gold standard. I suppose you could say that the major problems of the US dollar started back in 1971 when infamous US President Richard Nixon abandoned the golden standard. Other nations foolishly followed suit, giving us the worldwide fiat currency system that exists today. A fiat currency is one that is allegedly backed solely by the faith that people and countries have in the economic and financial stability of the nation issuing the currency. In, in practical reality, fiat currency aren't backed by anything. The whole fiat currency system is little more than one big financial illusion. Country print money at will and hope that people will continue to believe that the currency notes they issue are somehow worth more than just the paper they're printed on. That usually works for a while, but never in the financial history of the world has it worked indefinitely. Every country that ever tried it has eventually faced a day of financial reckoning when it had to pay the piper. The result has typically been a period of economic reckoning, hyperinflation, followed by the need to completely revamp the country's currency. The flow of abandoning the gold standard was quickly made apparent as inflation and loss of purchasing power raged the US economy over the next decade. But of course, there were no putting the genie back in the bottle, as the Federal Reserve had already printed billions of dollars that could no longer be backed by gold, at least not at the previous head, head gold prices of $35 an ounce. Gold and silver price, right along with inflation, soared in the 1970s, with gold topping out near 1,000 an ounce and silver hitting $50 an ounce. Freed from the confines of the gold standard, the Federal Reserve was free to print money at will, and it has taken more than full advantage of that freedom ever since. As of 2024, the Fed had cracked, cranked out more currency notes than one could ever have imagined back in 1971, slamming the purchasing power of the US dollar over and over. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates, and it's a conservative estimate, that the consumer price index has gone up by approximately 500% since 1971. An economic collapse can be caused by a variety of factors, including supply shocks, demand shocks, and financial market problems. Other potential causes include hyperinflation, stagflation, stock market crashes, and sovereign debt crisis. Furthermore, external events like wars, revolutions, famines, and depletion of resources can also contribute to an economic collapse. During an economic collapse, a nation's economic experienced a severe downturn, often characterized by a breakdown in markets, social unrest, and widespread hardship. Key features include a sharp decline in economic output, soaring unemployment, and potential currency instability or even hyperinflation. China is normally the largest export market for US agricultural products. In a particular year, we sell tens of billions of dollars worth of agricultural products to the Chinese. But now that door has been slammed shut thanks to the extreme high tariffs that China has imposed on US imports. If that door is not reopened very soon, farmers all over the nation will be facing financial ruin due to massive financial losses that are already piling up. This is a very difficult time for real estate agents and homeowners that are trying to sell their homes. As I have as I have documented below, sales of previous owned homes in the United States just fell to the lowest level that we have seen during the month of March since 2009. None, needless to say, in March 2009, we were in the middle of the Great Recession. Meanwhile, the number of unsold homes that are currently on the market just continues to pile up. If you're going to need anything made in China, I would buy it now while you still can. Many companies have already decided that it no longer makes any economic sense to import Chinese made products to the United States because tariff rates are so high. As a result, there are certain things that will soon no longer be available to US customers. The fall of American empire is upon us. For example, during the Vietnamese War, the white supremacist financial elites wanted to impose democracy in Vietnam, but the Communist Party of the North Vietnam was not having it. The Vietnam War lasted for approximately 19 years, from 1955 to 1975. While the United States officially withdrew its combat troops in 1973, the fighting between North and South Vietnam continued until South Vietnam fell to the North in 1975. This was not the only war that America lost. America lost the war in Iraq. The U.S. was forced to withdraw in 2011. In 2021, the U.S. withdrew its troops from Afghanistan after 20 years fighting against the Taliban, and now Afghanistan. These are not the types of things that you hear about from an empire. BRICS is on the rise. It is composed of 10 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Egypt, Ethiopia, and Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, representing a partnership of leading emerging market economies. It aims to promote peace, security, development, and cooperation among its member member countries. These countries decided to unite in order to compete against the American dollar and anti-Western and anti-American objectives. Together, has implemented competitive initiatives such as the new Development Bank and the BRICS Contingent Reserve Agreement. They collaborate with each other on areas such as trade, investment, economic growth, and political coordination. The world order is changing, and once dominating United States of America and its allies is not as strong as they used to be. Africa is being built up by the Chinese. China has helped build power plants and signed joint ventures with state-run oil companies across Africa. China is winning America and Western nations are losing. One of the most worrisome supply chain strangleholds over Western nations and over the United States is China. It has a monopoly status of critical minerals. China has suspended exports of seven critical rare earth minerals to all countries. Ship shipment stops due to Trump's tariffs, risking shortage of U.S. defense and tech. Trump's next move is to sign an executive order on minerals invoking the Defense Production Act to fast track U.S. mining targeting copper, uranium, and rare earths. Trump is quoted, quote, "This is a gold rush for America's future. Nobody's stopping us." Um, the American business that will help solve the supply chain issues are taking on some of the world's most press, pressing problems, and that's a big opportunity here because right now there are zero, not one operational mines on U.S. soils. The Defense Department now funds rare earth projects for the military, and yet they are no active mines on U.S. soil. China controls approximately 70% of global rare earth production. The United States is in debt. The debt was 3.5 trillion. Today, 2025, it is 36 trillion. 15 years ago, it was under 10 trillion, meaning that the debt has more than tripled in a decade. The rise of the petrodollar, the brilliant move that the US made after dumping the gold standard was to in fact tie the US dollar to oil from the Middle East, from Saudi Arabia, and also to its oil-rich OPEC neighbors. The petrodollar system arose out of a twofold agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Agreement Part 1: the U.S. would buy all of its oil from the Saudi Arabia. Agreement Part 2: in return, Saudi Arabia would only sell oil to any other countries if those countries paid for the oil in US dollars, which became known as petrodollars. There ensured that there would be a strong, constant demand for US dollars around the world and served to establish the dollar as the world reserve currency. Now, at first first glance, the agreement might look like a pretty good deal for US, except for one little thing. Um what moron in the US government actually believes that Saudi Arabia, um, you may recall the Saudis from the 9/11 terrorist attack on the US and its Arab neighbors were ever really going to be best buddies with the US, the forever ally of Israel. If one had any doubts about how the Saudis really felt, things should have been clear pretty quickly. when Saudi Arabia and its OPEC partners almost immediately put the squeeze on the U.S. with the mid 1970s oil embargo. Saudi Arabia has recently announced that it's perfectly willing to accept payment of oil in plenty of other countries beside the US dollars. The Saudis have become especially friendly with China, joining the growing economic cartel known as the BRICS nation. BRICS stands for the original members of the group: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But the group has expanded by adding Saudi Arabia and several other Middle Eastern nations. Altogether, BRICS group now accounts for nearly half of the world's total oil supply, which gives the group increasingly global economic power. The Saudis dumped the petrodollar, and by connecting the US dollar, it is a significant part of the overall worldwide push toward de-dollarization, dethroning the US buck as the world's premier reserve currency. It has totally lost that position, yet, thanks to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, but its currency, but its currency supremacy is now seriously threatened. The question has been asked: what's another driving force behind de-dollarization and the shrinking purchasing power of the US dollar? It's the US taking action that is alienating other countries and to make them reluctant to rely on the US dollar. Imagine this: you're the United Kingdom. It's so terrible. Long ago, the world's greatest empire and a longtime financial center of the world. Now, one day, the Securities and Exchange Commissions, or the Commodity Future Trading Commission of the United States, ring you up on the phone and inform you that they want you to regulate all of your financial trading markets and financial institutions with the same regulations that they apply to trading and banking in the US. They also want you to report to them any and all financial transactions that US citizens or residents do in your country. Well, the sad fact is that the US financial authority have essentially done pretty much that very thing with virtually every country in the world. Apparently, they have the idea that they are or should be the emperor of the entire financial world, able to dictate to every other country how to run their financial business. This has led to, among other things, all the financial institutions in many countries refusing to serve any clients from the US. They simply have no idea to be under US government control. And now, added to that, overreaching of authorities, such as confiscating hundreds of millions of dollars in assets of countries that do something the US government doesn't like. Case in point: Russia attacking Ukraine. What is the obvious logical response to that going to be by Russia or any other country subject to such treatment? Just bear with me, y'all. I'm almost done. This is just different stuff that I've did my research on. So just trying to share with you about the economic crisis in America. Avoiding avoid financial exposure to the US, and that includes moving away from doing business in US dollars or holding any kind of US financial assets such as US Treasury security. Vladimir Putin has already publicly stated that Russia preferred currency for international trade is China, is Chinese yen. It also appears that the U.S. government lacks any foreign sight that extend beyond a week or two. Pretty much anyone who's sassy in world economics sees the handwriting on the wall that China is the world's next great economic empire. There a very there's a very simple, very basic reason for this. It has by far the most customers, and more of those customers are becoming middle class citizens who buy all the stuff like cell phones and cars. But but rather than pursue trading partners with the ever growing economic giant of the East, the U.S. has chosen to pursue a trade war with China. The yen is rising as a reserve currency while the US dollar is declining. As such, the real problem within the United States of America is white supremacy. I discussed these issues in my revised book. The main problem in the United States of America is white supremacy because it is intertwined with art and entertainment, criminal justice, economy, education, government, healthcare, media, and religion. America was built on anti Black racism before the U.S. Constitution was written. The so called founding fathers all owned slaves, which put American government on the hook for reparations. That starts with the racial wealth gap between blacks and whites. From 1619 to 1865, there were 246 years of free labor of the white supremacist financial elites, then another 100 years of Jim Crow. I would say Jim Crow and sharecropping. Then they had a 300-year head start over descendants of American slaves, freemen. American slavery created trillions of dollars for the white supremacist financial elites, according to some economists. The wealth obtained from descendants of American slaves, freemen, reigns about a $10 trillion wealth gap. The white supremacist financial elites made trillions of dollars off the backs of our ancestors. This is what I've been trying to teach GRCAM members that reparations at the minimum should be $5 trillion for descendants of American slaves to close that wealth gap. That's it's their fault because these are deliberate acts of sabotage a Pacific group of people. The white supremacist financial elites created the Homestead Act of 1862, allowing European migrants to have access to 270 million acres of free land. They are the ones who cause our social economic conditions as a collective in this country. They created laws to sabotage our generational wealth through redlining and the using racial covenants. For example, the Federal Housing Administration denied home loans to Black Americans to prevent us from building generational wealth. The white supremacists financial elites don't want to take accountability for creating a biased system which favors their group. Educational inequalities, the school to prison pipeline is yet another tool used to target Black Americans, students into the criminal justice system. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is trying to whitewash our history and downplay American slavery to preserve a white narrative. Who created mass incarceration in America? The 13th Amendment said no more slavery, but if you are convicted of a crime, then you could be put back into slavery. How is mass incarceration linked to white supremacy? The 13th Amendment is used by the white supremacist financial elites as a loophole which allows modern slavery as a punishment for a crime as covered to gain prison labor, also known as convict leasing. These crooks have always gotten free labor from our ancestors, just like sharecropping. This is why they allow so many illegal immigrants to come over here. They want cheap labor force because they don't want to pay for labor. On the war on poverty and the war on drugs targeted Black Americans during the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Notice how people on drugs are treated in the white community that has an epidemic of meth and fentanyl. Where's the mass incarceration of white Americans? It's now seen as a public health issue. There are books such as Medical Apartheid from Forced Sterilization to the Tuskegee Experiment, which is why a lot of Black people don't trust the medical industry. According to the author, it says the medical system has a long history of abusing Black Americans. Environmental racism, when you have an African American neighborhood near toxic waste sites or polluted air, which cause cancer and other health issues. Those neighborhoods have fewer hospitals and few Black nurses and doctors. Black Americans have high blood pressure due to our diet. The food industry is using genetically modified ingredients in our foods. Employment discrimination is linked to white supremacy. Job applicants with Black sounding names often get fewer callbacks. That has nothing to do with your education experience. Occupational segregation, Black Americans are often shut out of high paying jobs. After the civil rights era, the white supremacist financial elites decided to shut down the manufacturing companies and send them overseas to places like Mexico and China for cheaper labor. They took away Black jobs from the cities. Now we're going to turn over the show to our panelists who will give their insight about the topic. And thank you all for listening. And if you want to participate, once my panelists, finished their commentary, you can participate, right? And again, if you want to be on my panel, I will say for next month, just send me your email address to my through my Facebook backup page, and we can make that happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn the show over to my panelists if they're available. If not, then you're welcome to try to call in. And let's say, for example, if I don't have any callers that want to get on this show and interact with me and ask me questions, then we're gonna conclude our show for today. But please leave public comments, all right? And ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm not doing all this stuff just to be running off at the mouth. I'm trying to prove to you that I'm trying to get things done. That's what we're going to do up in my business. We ain't going to just sit up here and complain about the white man and the government. We're going to do what we can at the grassroots level to help improve our community. It's unfortunately, yes, all of us, all Black Americans aren't able to just up and leave due to finances. This is why I'm trying to create the business, because it's going to get worse. And if we don't come against this slave mentality, I predict by 2040, Black Americans as a collective will become a permanent underclass in America. And that's unfortunate. But again, I don't want to see that. That's why I want to get the business up and running and turn it over and then bring my business ideas to the African continent and work with Africans that want more out of life. That's all I'm trying to do. Again, thank you all for listening. And I hope that my panelists, that they will be ready. And if not, hey, no problem. I'll hold this thing down by myself. But again, I'm doing the best that I can. Thank you all for listening.